चल गए थे यार, बहुत बड़ा बेकार हो गया, नुकसान हो गया मेरा। मेरा क्लास था, कल भी था, कल हमको क्लास क्लास में चल रहा रिकॉर्डिंग। हाँ, सब चलेगा। Whatever the data you are upload, and we are trying to use with the Linux instance because GFS doesn't support with the Windows machines. For that reason, what we are going to do here, we will create two Linux EC2 instances. I will name it as server 1 create in the 1A and this I will create in the 1B availability zone. And here we are going to create EFS file system. Across availability zones. Any availability zone in the VPC. Now, how to mount? Like in the Windows mapping, right? In the Linux, that is called as a mount. How to mount? In the Windows, you don't have a C drive, D drive, right? Everything will be under slash. That is a root drive. If you are attending the Linux classes, you might have some basic idea about these things. Okay. In the Windows, we can mount any drive using the drive letters like C drive, D drive, E drive. But in the Linux, there is no drives. What we do is we will create one folder and we will mount the file system to the folder. Let us say here, I will create one folder called, okay, I will create the folder called SER server 1. This is going to be the folder. And here the folder is going to be server 2. This is a folder. And then we will mount the EFS into that particular folder. What is the meaning of mount? If you open server 2, that means you are opening EFS file system. Like if I click on C drive in my laptop, which means I'm accessing the drive which is created as a C drive in my laptop. So here in the Linux, we use a term called mount. Mount means the EFS file system will be mapped or connected with this particular folder. That is a folder. And if I open server 1 and if I create some data, the data will be automatically stored into the mounted file system. And in our case, we mounted EFS, right? That data will be stored into the EFS file system. We will see that practically so you can see, you can get some clarity. And for the mounting folders, there is no rule that you have to use with a specific name. You can use any name, like you can use ABC, you can use XYZ, that doesn't matter. And also there is no rule to maintain the same name across all your EC2 instances. Because if you observe, on the first server, I used a folder name called server 1. And in the second server, I'm going to use a name called server 2. If you get into that particular folder, then you can get the data from the EFS. Okay, so now what exactly we are going to do here is, wait a second. So we will create an EFS in Northern Virginia region and mount the EFS to 2 EC2 instances. And then we can verify the data, how it works and all the things. The process of creation is, the first thing I will create Linux EC2 instance and I will name it as Linux 1 or server 1. That's, let me use a server 1 in US East 1A availability zone. Then I will create another Linux EC2 instance. This time I will use the name as server 2 in US East 1B availability zone. Then create EFS store EFS across all the availability zones in the VPC in your network. Okay, so now here, before writing the next thing, the request will be sent from the EC2 instance, right? So here is the EC2 instance 1, and here we have an EC2 instance 2, and we have EFS, right? The mount request will be coming like this. Mount request will be coming like this. It will send a request, then EFS system will accept the request. But for the EFS, there is a security group. So what traffic you have to allow in that security group? SSH. Why? Okay, you said SSH. What is the use of SSH protocol? What is the purpose of the SSH protocol? To log in to the Linux EC2 instance. But are we logging into the Linux instance? This is a Linux, right? From Linux instance, I'm trying to access the EFS storage. On which protocol this EFS will run? NFS. Linux is an operating system. Linux and Windows are operating system. NFS is the protocol which is required to run a software or an application. NFS is a kind of a tool. Even you can see in the market there are different NFS softwares available. Have you ever heard about OpenFiler? By using that you can create your own NFS file system in your office. So if you want to access the NFS file system, the request to be sent on NFS protocol. If you want to access the Windows machine using the RDP protocol, then which traffic you have to allow? RDP. On which thing you are trying to access? I'm trying to access the EFS file system using NFS protocol. Let us say one website is running in Windows Server. To make the website accessible, what ports you have to open? Website is running in a Windows server and you want to allow everybody to access the running in the Windows. What traffic you have to allow? HTTP and HTTPS, right? You don't open RDP traffic. RDP is only for remote login. We don't consider about what operating system is running in the background. To make the website accessible, HTTP and HTTPS. Here also, we don't consider on which operating system the EFS service is running. Our goal is to access the EFS. EFS is accessible using the NFS protocol. So in the security group, you have to open NFS traffic. What is the port number? Here I don't remember. In the security group, you can select type as NFS. Automatically, the port number will be populated. Okay. So before creating the EFS, you must create that security group which will accept the NFS traffic. Okay. That we can write down as a note, or before creating the EFS, you can mention that. Create a security group and you can give the name as EFS by allowing NFS traffic, NFS protocol from anywhere. Then create EFS across all the availability zones of the VPC using the security group EFS. If you use another security group, there is no use because that will not allow the traffic. Then we have to do the mounting the EFS on Linux EC2 instances. First step is log into server 1 and create a directory. Directory is nothing but a folder. Technically, we can call it as a directory. Create a directory. The name is going to be server 1, or I can say create a directory as /server1, which means that directory is available under /. If I ask you to create a folder in C, let us say, if I ask you to create a folder like this, which /, this or this, forward or backward? Are you sure? Because I don't, yeah. For our website, it will be backward, right? C, test, and folder 1. How to create? I asked you to create this folder. How to create this folder in your Windows computer? If I right click on my desktop and I click on folder 1, is that correct? No. If I create on desktop, that will be like C users, username /desktop. That's the place. First, you have to go to this particular location and then you have to create the folder. If you create on desktop, the location will be desktop, not this particular folder. In the same way, to create this particular folder, you have to go to this location and then you have to create this particular folder. Okay, then mount the EFS on server 1 using the directory /server1. The same thing you have to repeat for server 2 also. If you are getting confused with the names, you can use a different names, because here also server 1, server 1, server 1, server 1, right? Okay, I will do, let us say EFS1. That is a directory name, just to avoid the confusion. On server 1, the folder name is going to be EFS1. On server 2, the folder name is going to be EFS2. So on login to server 2, create a directory as EFS2 and mount the EFS file system on server 2 using the directory called EFS2. Then how to verify? Verification, like how it works. Log into server 1 and navigate to /EFS1 and create few files, which means the data will be created into the EFS. If you do so, all the files will be stored in EFS. Then log into server 2, navigate to /EFS2 and observe the files. Whatever the files created from server 1 are visible from server 2 because they are not storing in the server 1. Whatever the data you are creating in the EFS1 from the server 1 will be stored into the EFS file system. And from server 2, the same thing you can access. Theoretically, looks like a little bit confusing. Let us do it practically so you can get some clarity on that. Okay, so first what we have to do is we need to create two Linux EC2 instances. Let us name them as server 1 and server 2. I think everybody knows how to create the EC2 instances, right? Okay, now let us go to the EC2 service. Quickly, let me create the two Linux EC2 instances. I will use Amazon Linux 2 operating system. Give me a second, let me log in. Okay, so here I don't have any instances right now. I'm going to create two EC2 instances, server 1 and server 2. Launch instances. Name server 1 I will give. I will select Amazon Linux. T2.micro, key pair, Northern Virginia 29. What security group I have to attach? NFS. Why? Why NFS? I'm creating this one. Why should I open NFS in the security group? So I'm creating this one, right? Server 1 I am creating. SSH. Why SSH? As a user, I want to log in. But your EFS will never communicate with the Linux instance. Linux instance will communicate with the EFS. Right? Let us say you want to make a call to your friend. So you have to know your friend's number, right? But your friend should, there is no point of that your friend must know your number to receive a call. The same way. So if the Linux machine is trying to communicate with the EFS, then the NFS should be opened on the EFS, not on the Linux machine. Okay, so already we have the security groups. From that, I will select the SSH, Linux SSH. 8 GB is enough. And the other thing, subnet. Click on edit. Let me change the subnet to 1A because I would like to check from multiple availability zones. Click on launch instance. So what all we are creating is, so this is the server 1. This is server 1 in 1A availability zone. And we are going to create another server and the name is server 2, which is going to be in the 1B availability zone. Okay, let us create that second server also. View all instances. You can see that server 1 is getting created. Launch instances. I will name it as a server 2, Amazon Linux, T2.micro, key pair, network. I will select a different availability zone just to check that your EFS will work from any availability zone in your network. Security group, same Linux SSH. If you don't have such kind of a security group, you have to create. And yeah, launch instance. 2 instances got created. One is in 1A and the second one is 1B. Now we will create one security group. We will create one security group which will allow NFS traffic. Okay, first we will create a security group like this. This is going to be our security group in which NFS from anywhere I will open. Then we will create the EFS by using the same security group. Okay, right. So first let us see how to create the security group. How to create a security group? I mean, from which place we have to create? Same EC2 service. Go to EC2 service. On the left side, under network and security, there is an option called security groups. Click on security groups. You can see the list. Right. Click on security groups. You can see the list of existing security groups here. Click on create security group. Security group name, you can use any name, that doesn't matter. Description, you can. Inbound rules. By default, no incoming traffic will be allowed. So click on add rule, type. I don't know the port number of NFS. So from type, I will search for NFS. What is the port range? 2049 is the port number of NFS. Source, anywhere. Scroll down and click on create security group. The security group got created. Now we need to create the EFS. How to create the EFS file system is in the search box, type EFS, managed file storage, click on EFS. So you can see the storage, standard storage, standard infrequent. I forget about one zone storage and one zone IA. Like standard and one zone. In the standard and standard IA, one zone and one zone IA. Like in the standard, your data will be copied across multiple availability zones. In the one zone, your data will be maintained in single availability zone where you have more risk but less charges. You can see the charges here. For the standard storage, they will cost you $0.303 per GB. For standard IA, 0.025. One zone, 0.16. One zone IA, 0.013. Almost 10 times lesser than one zone. One zone IA is almost like 9 to 10 times less than one zone storage. And this is also more than 10 times lesser, it seems. Standard and standard IA. Okay, so here click on create file system. You have to give some name. I can use my EFS. You can use any name, that doesn't matter. Here you have to select virtual private cloud, but we have only one network, no option to change. Now the storage class, standard or one zone. So what is the difference? If you select the standard, the data will be stored across multiple availability zones. In the one zone, the data will be stored in a single availability zone. There will be high risk. And you can click on create, but if you click create, the EFS will be created with default configuration. That might not suitable for your requirement. So you can click on customize. click on customize. Then storage class, you have to select standard or one zone. Then automatic backups. Would you like to enable automatic backups? If yes, you can enable. If you need the data to be confidential and the data is important data, if you don't want to lose the data, you have to select enable automatic backups. Then life cycle management. If you store the data into the standard storage class, after few days, the data might not be useful for regular accessibility, right? In that case, you can select that transition into IA. Automatically, the data will be moved into standard IA if the object is not accessed in the last 30 days. If any object is not accessed in the last 30 days, then the object will be moved into standard IA. Let us say after 90 days or so, someone accessed the object. Then immediately the object will be moved out of IA and that will be stored into the standard. Let us make it simple. I uploaded the object on January 1st. On January 1st, everybody accessed. And from January 2nd, no one is using that object. Then on February 1st, it's been 30 days, right? Because in the last 30 days, no one accessed the object. So on February 1st, that will be moved into standard IA. No one is using. Then on May 1st, someone accessed that object which is in the standard IA. Then immediately that object will be moved into standard. Now the question is how you will be charged. From January to January 31st, object is in the standard. So you will be charged based on the standard charges. From February 1st to May 1st, object is in standard IA. For those 3 months, you will be charged with standard IA charges. But from May 1st, you will be charged with standard storage class charges, like effective management of the charges. Then if you want to enable data at rest encryption, you can enable this. Performance, what kind of performance you need? Bursting and enhanced. What is the difference between these two? Bursting in the sense you will get a basic required performance. If possible, the performance will be increased. If you select enhanced, which will provide more throughput. More throughput. Throughput means MB per second, data transfer speeds. Recently, Amazon introduced Elastic. What is the meaning of that Elastic is, if you don't know what is the requirement, you can go with Elastic. Let us say now more people are using, automatically more throughput assigned. If less people are using, less throughput will be assigned. Whatever you have used, for that you will be charged. And what about the provision? You can enter how much you need. Maximum 1 GB data transfer speed you can assign. Provisioned throughput you can assign. But if you assign this and if you don't use that much throughput, you have to pay for that entire throughput. The best way is Elastic. Whatever is your requirement, that will be allocated. If you utilize it, you will be charged. If you don't utilize, you won't be charged. Bursting is a default mode. I recommend to set bursting in the practical. Because if you select enhanced, if by somehow, if it got allocated some extra IOPS, you will be charged for the throughput, not IOPS, MB per second. I think if for every 1 MB, there will be some extra high charges only. Okay, additional settings, you can select performance mode, the performance mode, general purpose or max IP. General purpose means even though you have a throughput, you require some kind of input and output operations per second. General purpose means which will okay for with a less latency, with little bit high latency, not like seconds of latency, like 20 millisecond, 30 millisecond latency. If you go with this, it will give you minimum latency. Okay, so now let us go with, generally we don't need that. We can go with general purpose, which is compatible with the applications which requires minimum latency. General purpose performance mode is for the applications which requires minimum latency, like quick access. Max IO, that is for the applications which is okay with high latency. General purpose is recommended. Then click on next. So here you have to select in which network you would like to create. By default, the mount target will be created in all the availability zones. For the mount targets, there will be a security group. What was the security group attached by default? Default security group, which will not allow NFS traffic. What I do is, I will remove whatever the default security groups attached with your EFS mount targets. From the drop down, I will select the one which we created. What was the security group we created? EFS. Here it is. EFS. I will select that. Attached EFS. In the same way, for all mount targets of the EFS, I will select the required security group. Make sure that the correct security group we attached with the mount target of the EFS file system. Then click on next. If you want to prevent root access, like administrator access, you can select the checkbox. Automatically the policy will be applied. But I don't want to restrict any access. Every user from your EC2 instance can access the EFS with full permissions. If you want to give only read only, you can select this one. Only they can read the data. They cannot create, they cannot modify. Just you can select, the policy will be automatically generated. I don't select anything. So full permissions without any restriction. Click on next. You can review what all options you have selected. And then click on create. The EFS file system is getting created, which will take a few seconds, not more than that. Success. And what is the state? Available. Okay. Now, what we are going to do is, in the server 1, we are going to create a folder. We are going to create a folder, and the folder name is /EFS1. So here I'm going to create another folder called EFS2. A folder directory, and then we will mount like this. Mount on those folders. So if I go to /EFS1 in the server 1, I can see the files available in the EFS. Okay. So first let me log into both the servers, server 1 and server. First let us go with the server 1. Okay. So how to log in? We have to use the tool called PuTTY. And before that, you have to generate the private key using PuTTYgen. But already I have access to the private key. That's why I'm not generating it. And the Linux 1 IP address, right? The server 1 IP address, public IP. Yeah, you can connect. You can use the EC2 instance connect, like server 1 connect, EC2 instance connect, and you can click on connect. Okay. So, but I will use a PuTTY tool. Enter the IP address, and on the left side under SSH, expand AUTH, select the credentials, click on browse, and this one. But before clicking on open, I will modify the font size. Okay. and open. What is the username? EC2-user. This is the server 1, right? Okay. On the black color background, white letters is a server 1. For server 2, I will use a different colors. So just for differentiating. Okay. So here, can I, what is the command to create a directory? mkdir. If I use EFS1, does it create the directory in the required location? Or where the directory will be created? In which location the directory will be created? Whatever the directory right now I am in that particular location, the folder will be created. In which location I am in? The command is pwd, present working directory. Right now, I am in this particular location. So the directory will be created under /home/ec2-user/. But that is not my requirement, right? I want to create a folder under /. For that reason, first I have to go to /. How to go there? cd space /. cd means change directory. We are changing the present working directory. Then type pwd. Now it is showing that I am in /. If I create the directory now, the directory will be created under /. Okay, command is mkdir space EFS1. Can I create? You cannot. Because I logged in with EC2-user. So I have to use a sudo before every command. See here, permission denied. So the command is going to be sudo space mkdir EFS1. How to check the directory got created or not? Okay, here I will write down the command also. cd space /, then sudo space mkdir EFS1. Okay. How to check the directory got created or not? pwd means it will show only the location in which you are. ls, sorry. ll is there and ls is there. ls, this is the directory we created, EFS1. Then what is ll? That is also, it will give the information. So this is the directory which we created, right? Who created? What is the size? On which date it was created? Everything you can see here. EFS1. Okay. Now what is the next one? Mount. Before mounting, I want to check what are the drives mounted. So it is having 8 GB drive, right? That is also mounted under /. To check the existing drives mounted on your Linux machine, you can type mount. You can see, let me maximize it. Just a mount command, which will show that your drive is mounted on /. / is your 8 GB drive. / is your 8 GB drive. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we are going to mount your EFS to the Linux instance. What is the command? What is the command? Just go to your EFS. No need to remember the command. Go to the EFS. Click on your EFS file system. Then you can see an option called attach, right? It won't attach from the graphical user interface. Click on the attach. Now you can see using the NFS client. This is the command. Copy it and you can paste somewhere because you have to modify it. What you have to modify is, this is the options to mount, where you are mounting. Where we are mounting that? /EFS1. This is the directory name into which you are mounting. Okay, no need to change any other things. Directly copy paste, because Amazon don't know that to which directory you are mounting. They will consider it as an EFS. Now I changed it to /EFS1. So copy the command and paste. enter. If you get any error here, definitely the problem is with the security group of the EFS. If you don't open the NFS protocol in the security group, so here you can get an error called request timeout. Now I can say that your EFS file system got mounted to the Linux computer. How to verify that? Again, type the same command called mount. You can see at the end, this is your EFS, which is mounted on /EFS1, which means if I go to cd space /EFS1 and enter, and if I do ll, these are the, there is empty, these are the files available on EFS1. Okay, so what is the next step? Okay, we have to log into server 2 and we need to create this, right? Okay, so let me log into the server 2 first. I'm not creating any data into the EFS1 right now. Okay, let me get the IP address of server 2. The same procedure. Go to PuTTY tool, enter the public IP, attach the private key file. Let me modify the appearance just to differentiate server 1 or server 2. Okay, then I will change, not this one, wait a second. Default background, I will change it to white. And the default foreground, I will change it to black. Okay, just a differentiation. Accept, and the username is EC2-user. If you see white color background and black color letter, that is the server 2. Okay, now what is the first step we have to do? For the G, cd space / then sudo space mkdir EFS2. Okay, so cd space / check the PWD. I am in the correct directory. Now sudo space mkdir EFS2, and you can check EFS2 is there. Okay, so now let me do mount. You can see these are the existing mounts. Those are Linux operating system file system related. Now we have to use the same command to mount on EFS2, but you have to change the directory name to 2, because on the server 2 the directory name is EFS2. Paste, enter, it got mounted. To verify, just type mount, and you can see that this is the file system mounted on EFS2. Okay, now I will go to EFS2. So in which directory right now? EFS2. Okay, now I will go to server 1. I will log into server 1, navigate to /EFS1, and I will create some files. This is the server 1, right? And already I navigated. How to check? If PWD is showing /EFS1, that means already you are in that particular location. Okay, now I will create one file. How to create a file? With some data. You can use vi space 1.txt. But here also you have to use sudo. In front of every command you have to use sudo. So press I for insert mode. I think we created index.html, right? In the same way you can create. I can write down like file created from server 1. Now that file got stored in the EFS1. Now I'm going to open the server 2 LL. Can you see the file? Yes. Let me view the data. Cat space 1.txt. You can see. Let me modify the file. Vi space sudo I have to use, right? Sudo space vi space 1.txt. So what I do is I will add another line, modified from server 2. And if I go to server 1 and if I open the 1.txt, you can see file is single, but it can be accessible from multiple computers at a time. That is what the network file system is. And this EFS cannot be used with Linux because the file system is different. In the Linux, the file systems are different, like ext3, ext4, different things. In the Windows, it supports FAT16, FAT32, NTFS. Those are the different file systems you cannot use across the things. That's why EFS is only for Linux operating system. Okay, so here you can write down a note point. EFS is only for Linux EC2 instances, and for Windows EC2 instances, we can use FSX. FSX file system. That is not required, just you have to identify the difference. For the Linux machines, you cannot use FSX. For Windows machines, you cannot use EFS. Now, how to clean up? We have to delete, right? How to delete? Can I delete the Linux file system directly? Can I delete it? Actual thing is, I will show you both the things. So we need to unmount. We need to unmount. The second thing is unmount the EFS system, EFS from server 1. Server 1, I will unmount. How to unmount is, the command is sudo space umount space, in which directory it is mounted? /EFS1. But here, you must not be in that particular directory. I will show you. So here, this is server 1, right? Right now, I am in which directory? EFS1. So I am in the directory and I am trying to disconnect it. So the command is sudo space mount space EFS1. Wait. Yeah, unmount. Not unmount, umount. Just umount. Device is busy because someone is in the device, so it cannot be disconnected. So if you want to unmount it, first you have to come out of that particular directory. You should not be in the EFS. How to come out of that? cd space dot dot or wait a second. So right now I'm in the EFS1, right? Or cd space slash. You can see I'm in the slash. Okay. Now let me use the same command. How to verify? If you type mount, you cannot see that elastic file system here at the last. Or you can check every line. You don't find EFS is mounted on /EFS1. Now, if I go to, oh, okay. Can I see that EFS1 folder in the server 1? Yes. EFS1 still exists. If I go to EFS1, can I see the data? No. I'm doing cd space EFS1 LL, no data. Let us say in your computer, you have a D drive. If you attach the pen drive, that will show as a D drive. But if you remove the pen drive, generally the D drive will be removed, right? But if it still shows as a D, if you open the D, can you see the data? The same thing. But here that folder cannot be deleted directly. We created an empty folder and the data will be like that. If I create some file in in this particular directory, do you think that the files will be updated into the EFS? No. No. While it is mounted, then only the data will be stored into the EFS1. Otherwise, that is a normal directory. Okay. So we are done. So the EFS is not mounted on server 1. But the EFS is mounted onto server 2, right? While it is mounted, can I delete? Can I delete the EFS while it is mounted on some instance? Let us see. Select, click on delete. It is asking you to type the file system ID. This is a destructive action that cannot be undone. Confirm the deletion by entering the file system ID. This is the file system ID. Copy paste, click on confirm. What is happening now? It is deleting the mount targets, then the EFS will be deleted. Then if you go to server 2, you cannot see the data. Like now the data is visible, right? Just wait for some time. Let the EFS be deleted. Then you will lose all the data. Now the file system is it got deleted. Even it is unable to load. It got struck. It got struck. Okay. So what I do is I will come out of that EFS2. Again, still it got struck. Because it is trying to validate the mount, it is trying to communicate. So after some time you can get, or you have to restart your EC2 instance, reboot. So how to reboot generally? Even it is not responding, that's okay. How to reboot? Not using the console, general Linux. What is the command to reboot? What is the one? How can you restart a computer, Linux computer? Obviously, you don't switch off the power and switch it on, right? There must be some command. What is the command to restart the Linux computer? Or what is the command to shut down the Linux computer? Log out will not shut down your computer. Your user account will be disconnected. That's it. You will log off. So here Windows machine is there, right? So here you can see shut down, or if I click here, I can see sign out. Both are same. If I click on sign out, my username will be logged out, but still the laptop is running. If you do log out, just you will be disconnected. That's it. The system will not be shut down. The command is init space 0. 0 is for shutdown. 6 is for restart. Like for 1, 2, for everything there is some meaning is there. 1 means I think single user mode. 5 is like graphical user interface. For every number there is a meaning from 0 to 6. 0 is to shut down. 6 is to restart. If you type init space 0, Linux instance will be shut down. If you type init space 6, it will be restarted. Okay, so any questions on EFS? Elastic File System. But in the real time, we don't use it. But you can expect a question in the certification exam. Like they might share the use case, whatever we discussed. So what type of storage is recommended for this use case? If the use case requirement is to access the data from multiple machines, then blindly you have to go for the EFS. Okay, right. Any questions? So for every command, I have used the sudo as a prefix, right? Or you can just switch to the root user also. Sudo space su. So from then onwards, no need to use a sudo command because already you logged in as a root user. Even that also works. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So if you guys are clear, we can stop the session here, and tomorrow we can continue with a service called CloudFront. Every company will use the CloudFront to maintain their applications with low latency, with high performance and low latency. The CloudFront will be used. Okay. So tomorrow we can see that CloudFront. For that, we will use the S3 bucket as a reference. We will store some high resolution images, and which, if you access directly, the image will be loaded in bits and pieces. After configuring the CloudFront, the image will be loaded with high speed. In that case, you are not moved close to the bucket, or your internet speed is not increased, but still you can get the high performance with low latency. Okay, that we can see in the CloudFront. If you have a time, just before coming to the session, go with some basic overview of the CloudFront, so that it will be useful. I mean, it will be easy for you to understand the concept. Okay. Any questions? Okay, then. Thank you, everyone. Let us continue tomorrow with the CloudFront. Yes. Yesterday notes I already uploaded, right? What topic we covered? I think I already uploaded. Yesterday only after the session completion I uploaded. No? After? SNS. SNS. That is the event notification, right? Event notification we covered in the yesterday's session only. Then you can see another top. Then what topics we covered? Snow family. Okay. Okay. Yes. Then I will upload. I do remember yesterday itself I uploaded. If not, I will check and I will upload. Okay. I will check and upload. Okay. Then thank you, everyone. We'll continue tomorrow.